Okay, so did Kevin McCarthy grow a spine? Well, based on this headline, he might have finally reached his wits' end. So it says, angry and frustrated, McCarthy challenges right flank colleagues to try to oust him from his post. Finally, he's showing at least a modicum of a backbone. So let's see what set him off. Because obviously it wasn't the impeachment, because he's perfectly fine to go along with that. So let's see what pissed him off. Angry, frustrated, and unable to lead a fractured and unruly Republican majority, which we knew was going to happen from the very beginning, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy on Thursday told the colleagues threatening to oust him, "Do it." The embattled Republican leader essentially dared his hard right flank to quit holding the risk of a vote to remove him from his job. "If you're going to do it, go ahead and try," McCarthy told the Republicans behind closed doors. "File the fucking motion," McCarthy said. Well, obviously they put it as F dash dash dash, using a profanity for emphasis, according to those in the private meeting. Because if you put an F and dashes, people don't actually know what he's saying. You have to say he used a profanity. Censorship rules are so weird. With the government shutdown looming, McCarthy is confronting the same stubborn problem that has driven Republicans before him from the Speaker's job, trying to lead a ruptured GOP majority that split between what's left of the traditional party and a harder right element largely allied with former President Donald Trump. And it just brings to mind John Boehner, who, it's so quaint. I miss him suddenly, and I was not a big fan of him. But, he did what he did with what he had to work with. And at that time, we didn't necessarily, or at least I didn't necessarily realize just how batshit the Republican Party was, and that he was just desperately trying to keep it together. But as he was announcing his resignation, he was singing Zippity Doo-Dah. So, yeah, that's how bad it is. Even his decision to launch an impeachment inquiry against President Joe Biden did little this week to appease the demands of the Freedom Caucus and others as they threatened to shut down the government in pursuit of deep spending cuts or move to a motion to oust him from office. Well, of course. They've been able to get everything they wanted so far, so of course they're going to keep pushing their luck. What did he think was going to happen? I mean, did he really think if he made a deal with the devil, that the devil would actually leave him alone after that? I'm not sure what he thought was going to happen. But it's nice to know that the government shutting down is his red line of actually growing a spine. It's not any other despicable things that are going on, but that's the red line. I showed frustration in here because I'm frustrated with some of the people in the conference, McCarthy said after the meeting in the Capitol basement as lawmakers were wrapping up for the week. But when we come back, we're going to get this done. Nobody wins in a government shutdown. And he's right about that. This may be the toughest moment yet for McCarthy, who is trying to survive his first year as House Speaker and live to fight another day. God, oh my God, it's only been a year? It seems like so much longer. Oh my God. But now, after promises made and possibly dashed, he has barely any days left. At the moment, McCarthy has just 9 working days to pass the spending bills needed to fund the government or risk a politically devastating federal shutdown. An interruption in government services would ripple across the country, almost certain to hurt his party politically, as Republicans are blamed for the disruption and disarray. As they should be. I mean, this party has been in disarray from the beginning. It's not like this is anything that should shock anybody. They basically become a party of whiny babies that just don't want to get anything done but don't actually want to do any work. Biden said in a speech Thursday that McCarthy and House Republicans seem unable to honor the commitments they made as part of the June debt limit deal and are now seeking deeper cuts. In his remarks, the president did not address the impeachment inquiry nor the indictment Thursday of his son Hunter on gun purchasing charges. And to be honest, the impeachment inquiry, he's already said, is or the White House, I don't know about him specifically, but the White House said that this is politically motivated, which it is. And as far as his son, what can he say? What exactly can he say? Yes, Hunter's probably not a great guy. He is still Joe Biden's son. And short of him becoming an axe murderer, of course he's going to defend him. He's a loving father. This is the last child he has from his first marriage. Where, I mean, he went through hell with these kids. So, of course he's going to defend Hunter. But it's also not something that should be talked about in the media, because that's what the Republicans want. They want Joe Biden to say something so they can just add to their evidence of this being some sort of a crime family, which it's not. Whatever horrible things Hunter did on his own. There was no evidence Joe had anything to do with it. Did he benefit from his name? Of course he did. I mean, that's how this society works. If you are related to someone famous, you're going to have opportunities that other people do not have. That's just the way things work. Whether for good or ill, that's just the way things work. And to act like this is something that is novel to Hunter and his father, well, I mean, we just went through Trump and his kids. Trust me, to say that they're riding on their father's coattails and Trump was riding on his father's coattails is complete, is a, what's the word? It's just silly. Of course they did. That just cheapens what they did. They didn't just ride the coattails. They were milking it for all it's worth. I mean, that's the only reason why Hunter is being hit so hard. Now, granted, he's not a great guy, and he probably did do some shady shit. But the only reason that the Republicans ever went after Hunter was not because they actually suspected that he was corrupt, but because, well, obviously, if you're going to go after Trump, we have to go after Biden because politicians are the same or something. They're back at it again, breaking their commitment, Biden said in Maryland. threatening to shut down the government again this month. Why do we have to have Congress authorize the raising of the debt ceiling? How about we just pay the bills we have to pay and not have this every single fucking time? Because now it's getting every few months as opposed to at least a year or two. The president has to go through this like every year or every 2 years, but this is just ridiculous. Led by Republican Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida, a core group of McCarthy critics is holding the threat of removal over him unless he meets conservative demands. And again, what was McCarthy expecting? He caved so bad to them just to become speaker. He caved, and because he caved, because he so desperately wanted to be speaker, of course they feel like they can get away with anything. You let them believe it. A top Trump ally, Gaetz reiterated the conservative flank's many demands after McCarthy's meeting. Single-subject spending bills, a subpoena for Hunter Biden in the impeachment inquiry, and other priorities. You know, they called Gaetz a Trump ally, which he is, but I remember during the speakership, the only reason he actually voted for McCarthy or abstained or something, something was said to him, and you could see the absolute look of terror on his face. So they scared him with something. And that's a total Trump move, because he's a total mob boss. So, is he really an ally? But then again, Trump turns on people so easy, so who knows? Let's see. So instead of emotionally cursing, let's do this, Gaetz chided. We must begin immediately. Pull yourself together, Kevin. You're right. He shouldn't emotionally curse. He should wring your fucking neck. None of the hard-right opponents of McCarthy rose to speak during the private morning meeting. In fact, few even showed up. Of course not. Because that would be akin to working and actually giving a shit about their jobs as opposed to the notoriety of being in Congress, which is what they want. They don't actually want to do jobs. What the hell are you thinking? But McCarthy still addressed them directly and profanely. Kevin doesn't live in fear about this, said Representative Brian Mast, Republican from Florida. McCarthy has prided himself being a survivor who rose from the ranks of the past nearly 20 years to lead House Republicans. Well, that is true. That is true. He was supposed to become speaker when Paul Ryan became speaker because nobody liked him then either. So, yeah, he is a survivor. Unfortunately, his survival instinct is both good and bad, because it's good because he got the speakership, but bad because he sold his soul to the devil to do it. And now it's payback time. At the start of the year, he suffered through 14 votes in his reach for the speaker's gavel before colleagues finally agreed to give it to him on the 15th vote. Top McCarthy ally, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is also close with Trump, recaptured the speaker's message. He said, "If you want to throw in a motion to vacate, that's fine. I didn't survive 15 rounds for nothing, and I'll survive another 15 rounds." And he has a point, because any name people threw out, it was just a stall tactic, just to make this as painful as possible. Not that there is a viable alternative. There isn't a viable alternative unless you bring in the Democrats, which the Democrats aren't going to abandon Hakeem Jeffries. So, yeah. Yeah, basically they're like, you know what? This is your shit show. We want nothing to do with it. And I don't blame them. Because this doesn't make the Democrats look bad. It makes the Republicans look completely disorganized and just completely off their rocker. That said, there is still no viable plan or having the House pass the bills needed to run the government by September 30th, when current funding runs out, risking the shutdown. Oh God. Freedom Caucus conservatives are demanding cuts lower than what McCarthy agreed to in a budget deal with Biden earlier this year, and even lower than the Speaker promised he would fight for when he agreed to their demands during his election to become Speaker. Again, you gave the hostage takers everything they wanted. What were you expecting? Of course, they're going to keep demanding more. This is what Republicans have been doing to Democrats for years, for decades. The Democrats cave, give the Republicans what they want. Oh, no, did we say that? No, we meant this. And see how far the Democrats are willing to go. And the Democrats have finally just given up on dealing with that shit. And now Kevin McCarthy is getting that treatment for himself. It's not just Trump influencing House Republicans from the campaign trail. Republican rival Ron DeSantis has also connected with conservatives and is supportive of us trying to fight to get change up here, says Freedom Caucus member Representative Chip Roy, Republican, Texas. Which doesn't tell us what, but I've heard him with some of his policies and ugh. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries said House Republicans have made clear that they are determined to shut down the government and try to jam their extreme right-wing ideology down the throats of Americans. Jeffries said that he had not talked to McCarthy this week about a solution, but he has spoken with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, and they have agreed the only way forward is a bipartisan path that funds the government at the current fiscal year levels. The Senate, meanwhile, which is narrowly controlled by Democrats, pushed ahead with a rare and overwhelming bipartisan vote, 91-7, to advance a package of spending bills toward final passage until it was stalled by Senate conservatives. Because again, ever since Obama, all conservatives want to do is prevent Democrats from getting anything done. Not that Republicans want to get anything done, except helping rich people. And now, all of a sudden, you have a small group in the Senate, trying to mimic the Freedom Caucus in the House, Schumer said, calling on Republican leaders to intervene for the good of the country. McCarthy told the lawmakers to go home for the weekend. They are not in session Friday for the Jewish holiday, and be prepared to stay in session next week until they get the job done. I don't walk away from a battle, the speaker said, preparing to return to fight another day. Asked if he had a plan for the week ahead, McCarthy said later, I always have a plan. Doesn't mean it happens. You always have a plan, huh? Did you plan for your speakership vote to go 15 rounds and that you were going to have to basically give your balls to the Freedom Caucus? I had a plan for this week. It didn't turn out exactly as I had planned, he said. Obviously not. Because first he said, well, I can't unilaterally call an impeachment vote, call for impeachment, and lo and behold, he ends up doing that. Because the Freedom Caucus questioned his manhood or something. Exasperated, McCarthy had already shown signs of strain the night before. As he left the Capitol, his voice hoarse and his dry cleaning bags of fresh shirts in hand, McCarthy scoffed when asked about the Conservatives' latest demands for spending cuts. "Welcome to my world," McCarthy said as the grand memorial door slammed behind him. So that's the end of that article. So I wish I could say that I feel sorry for Kevin McCarthy, but like I said, what was he expecting? He gave everything the Freedom Caucus wanted just so he could become speaker, and now he's surprised that they want more. I'm not sure what rock he's been living under. But like I said, this is what conservatives have been doing to Democrats for decades. Ever since Obama. Obama tried to reason with Republicans, tried to negotiate with them. But they were negotiating in bad faith. Whenever Obama agreed to some demands of theirs, they would increase them. Because, oh, well, we don't actually want to make a deal with you. We just want to see how extreme you'll get. So, yes, Kevin McCarthy is just reaping what he sowed. He, surely, a man of his experience and age, should not be surprised that if you let people get away with whatever they want, then they're going to insist that they can still get away with whatever the hell they want. And they're not going to take too kindly when someone just says, wait a minute. Can we think about this? Because they're used to getting their way. Because they're impetulant children. So I have no idea what he was expecting. The best thing that we can do is vote the bastards out in 2024 and hope that the presidency and both houses of Congress are more sane. Even if we have Republicans in Congress, that's fine as long as they're sane. These are not sane people. And Kevin McCarthy is just a spineless twat. Well, now he's showing a bit of backbone, but for the most part, he gave away everything, gave away the kingdom, just so he could pretend that he has power. And so, how is this helpful to anybody? It's not. So, hopefully, come 2024, it's America sane again, because right now most of the Republicans in Congress are anything but sane. So yeah, with that, I believe I have dealt with this article as much as I can. So I will see you guys in the next video.